Oh boy, y'all here? What's up with you? What's going on? Let me get this out of the way here. Boy, I was getting ready to get me a little drink. I'm glad y'all saw it was apple juice, because I might have messed around and had some Manichetti. No, it would have been Moscato, but y'all buckle up, because there's a strategy going on to divide us. And I'm going to use the movie Harriet Tubman to make the case. Buckle up. We're getting ready to get after the butt naked truth. You know I ain't got but one question for you. You ready?
This is not a test.
If you listen to this program, you're going to get the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the butt-naked truth. This program is X-rated.
You ready? You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
You are now tuned into the world's most honest talk show host, the Elder Mmoja, Ajabu.
Welcome. For those who don't know, this is Elder Mmoja, Ajabu, your host for After Naked Truth. This program is designed to strip the clothes off of well-dressed lies, and there are a bunch of well-dressed lies running around here. So if you can't handle the truth, I would suggest that you situate yourself elsewhere, because we're going to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the butt-naked truth. You're listening to the most truthful talk show host in the business, unbought, unbossed, and unafraid. Today I want to get into something that's really concerning me about this key, or this attempt, this effort to divide Africans and people of African descent around the world. And I'm going to use the Harriet Tubman movie, which I suggest you boycott, but I'll get into that a little bit more. And I'm going to delve into the analysis that Tone Talks Antonio Moore does, and also Boyce Watkins. And I'm going to get into their commentary because they give you knowledge. I want to give you some wisdom. What's the difference? When you're talking about knowledge, there's actually 3 levels of knowledge. The first level is information, which is the lowest level that you can have. Information is just that, information. Once you confirm the information to be true, it becomes knowledge. And once you understand how to apply the knowledge, it becomes wisdom. In my opinion, Dr. Boyce Watkins, who I hold in very high esteem, and Antonio Moore, who I believe has something to say. I'm not too much with that American descendants of slavery. I'm definitely an African descendant of slavery, but an American descendant of slavery. And I guess you could use that language too, so long as you don't try to separate yourself or divorce yourself from our African origin. But I say both of them are distributing information on the knowledge level. I am going to take that knowledge and apply it so that we get some wisdom. When you go to look at the movie, y'all know Harriet Tubman. Harriet Tubman was called Moses. And give me that picture, sir. Harriet was a liberator. Harriet, I love that woman because she refused to stay in bondage, and not only did she refuse to stay in bondage, she felt obligated to go and get those in bondage and help them find their release. We need the same thing today. But when you go to that movie, and again, I'm saying boycott it, and I'm saying boycott it because it's owned by Comcast, and Comcast is standing in the way, stopping, won't carry Byron Allen's offerings, and has taken him to the Supreme Court. So I'm saying don't give them no money because it's against us. But I am saying that there's some lessons in that movie, but we don't need to be giving money to Comcast when they're trying to keep us oppressed. When you look at the movie, it starts out and you find out that Harriet is owned by an old white man, and this old white man's son, and you never see this, but it's implied, but his son is sweet on him because the father says that if you wasn't sweet on that old girl, we'd have got rid of her a long time ago because she appears to be a rebel and got something going on in between the two ears. And she gets married, but they don't want her husband to come on to the plantation. And his name is John Brown, interesting enough. So when you look at the analysis that Tone Talks and Boyce Watkins do, they hone in on this slave catcher who is a black man who is big and burly and very vicious. And they're concerned, one, that this guy never existed, and two, that he's so prominent, and out of the many people historically that chased our brothers and sisters that ran off from the plantation, not a one can they find historically, not a one was a man of African descent. And so they take issue that one, it's not historically active, and two, they done put a black man in the position of trying to stand in the way of our freedom. Now, there's also another slave catcher that Boyce Watkins deals with, but Antonio does not. And Dr. Watkins, he made a very, very, very astute observation, which I saw but I missed, and I'll bring that up later. But the point that I want to make about Walter, which is his screen name, he was the one that went to the white folks after Harriet ran off and said that was one of the best trackers in the world, and he could help them find Harriet, and he got paid by the white folks, and he got on his job and said, look, I'm not only the best guy, but I can give you Bigger Long. And Bigger Long, who historically did not exist, Bigger Long said that he could be the one to find her because he just did not like black bitches. My Lord. And Antonio, Dr. Boyce, Elder Ajabu, all of us are on the same page there. We do not believe or feel that should have been the position of a black man at any time, and especially a fictional black man who historically does not exist and is getting ready to go after our liberator, Harriet Tubman, Moses. Harriet historically went back after she got her freedom, after she got to Philadelphia, Philly. She went back and she freed more than 70 of our brothers and sisters out of bondage and did not lose a one. Or if she did, she didn't tell nobody. Because you know, Harriet is known historically to say, look, you can't turn back. And if you don't keep on going, then this is your day to die. You die right here because it's freedom or death. And it's not a choice. Either you're going to be free or either you're going to die. And so I'm sure that there was some that flaked out like we have today, flaking out. But it's not recorded that she lost any. So I'm going to go with history. Everybody that sought freedom, got freedom, and none turned back. When you talk about Walter was a strange type of guy. He was like Dr. Boyce Watkins describes him as a leprechaun because you see him up in the tree and he's always observing. He's not doing too much initially, but he's observing. He's seeing what's going on. And he goes back and he sees Harriet coming along. And Harriet, because she had been beat in the head by her slave master, she would have trances and she would go into trances. And she would think that these trances was God speaking to her. And I know something about that because she could sense danger. And I had the same, I didn't go into no trance, but I had the same type of windmill over in Vietnam. I could sense danger. And even today, I can sense it. When something is not right, I can sense it. And so in the movie, she was going toward a trap that the white folks had set up. And Walter had told him that this was the only way that she could go. And Bigger Long was behind them, so they had to take care of the front side. And so they were waiting on the bridge for Harriet. And she falls into a trance and she says, we can't go that way. We got to go another way. And she says, we got to go left. And it's always good to go left. Don't go right. Go left. And so she went left, and they came to a river. And at the river, there was a brother again who didn't want to go. I'm not going across the river. I didn't come out here to drown. It makes me think about when Moses was leading the children out of Egypt, and they was talking about, you done led us into the desert. We didn't come out into the desert to starve, afraid to be free. But she walked across, and as she was walking across, she prayed to God that she could get across without drowning. And when folks saw that she did, they followed her. And old knucklehead, who was afraid, he went across too. The leprechaun, Walter, he saw that, and he said, damn. He went back to the slave master, the white folks, and told them, shoot, I messed up. I lost him. He got smacked by the white boy and beat up and kicked by Bigger Long. When he got through with that, he ran off and he hooked up with Harriet. Now, I'm gonna come back to that because you see Bigger Long and Walter working with the slave master to deny us our freedom. There's some people that are doing that today, and y'all walk with me, because I'm unbossed, and unafraid of the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the butt-naked truth. I'm saying all of this, even when you look at the movie, and you're seeing how they're portraying the black man, all of this is an attempt on the powers that be to divide. And see what we will do, we will see Bigger Long and Walter as being our enemies, which they are to some extent, you know, and we'll go after them, but we won't go after the white folks who actually were the ones that paid them to stop us from getting our freedom. I just said something, because that stuff is still happening today. And we're going to talk about it. Not only are we going to talk about the knowledge that I'm distributing right now, we're going to apply it so we understand what's happening with us today. When you look at that which is happening today, you look at people, and Antonio Moore is at the forefront of this, and the American Descendants of Slavery, ADOS, are at the forefront of this. They're saying that the actor who is Cynthia Erivo, and she's British, born in Britain, but from Nigeria, they're saying, she's not a foundational black. And they're defining a foundational black as a brother or sister that was brought here to America, enslaved, and the brothers and sisters that are descendants of those brothers and sisters brought from Africa, enslaved here in America, they're calling us foundational blacks or American descendants of slavery. Boyce Watkins, which I agree, he says, well, that's a part of our identity. Yeah, we are, and I am too, a descendant of those brothers and sisters. But if you let that be your beginning, then you disassociate yourself, you cut yourself off from our glorious history on the African continent. And so then if you look at that point, or our beginning from our enslavement here in America, everything that happens after that is progress. And if we're progressing towards that, we're still getting shot down in the streets by police. Police is getting away with murder. If we're getting away with that, Lamont, thank you. Paula, how you be? Yeah, we burning. We gonna connect the dots. Walk with me. But if we go with that, then we look at being able to get shot down in the streets as being progress by the police who get away with it. We look at that as being progress because we started out enslaved. Well, I ain't enslaved now. I'm still getting shot down in the streets. White folk can still kill me and get away with it, but look how I'm living. I used to live in a shack. Now I live in a house. Now I'm wearing a big old fedora hat. I'm dressing in Louis Vuitton. I got on Calvin Klein. But you still getting shot down in the streets, and the people that's shooting us down is getting away with murder. No, we can't use that as our beginning. Yeah, it's a way station in our development, but no, sir, it's not our beginning. And so when you look at Bigger Long and Walter, Bigger Long stays loyal to the white folks. Walter bucks and starts helping with the efforts of liberation. And all of it is a quest on the powers that be to divide the African whole so that we get into these little old tribes and start talking about this tribalism, and we don't push together. And see, you can call yourself what you want. If you want to be an American descendant of slavery, you can call yourself that. I'm not going to call myself that. I'll call myself an African descendant of slavery. If you want to call yourself Kikuyu, I'm not going to call myself that. I'm going to call myself an African. If you want to call yourself Shona Igbo man. I'm saying that tribalism has to be broken down, and it's not really good, in my opinion, to create another tribe when you talk about being an American descendant of slavery. But again, I'm saying that let's not get caught up in how people define themselves. Are we seeking the same goal? That was the argument that was being made between Malcolm and Martin. Malcolm was saying, hey, you got to defend yourself. Martin was saying, nah, you got to assume that them white folks don't know what they doing, so we teach them what they doing, and if we teach them what they doing, then they will stop acting so inhumane. Malcolm saying as long as they've been doing what they've been doing, they know what they're doing. It's not a mistake. But the goal was for Malcolm and Martin, even though that they had those differences, they both wanted the liberation of our people, so they found a way to get together and say, okay, let's see what we have in common. Well, I'm saying that we got to do the same thing today because there is an attempt to divide us. And for us to really understand the attempt, I want to talk about this race that we just went through in Indianapolis. But before I go there, let me even say that now Cynthia Erivo, she says she understands that the so-called foundational black here in America, she understands that we think that there should have been a black actor that was an African descendant of slavery here in America. Him. Harriet disarmed him, and then he's getting ready to kill Harriet. Harriet shoots him in his gun hand. He drops the gun. She tells him, get off the horse. Get on your knees. And she's got a gun on him. And throw your gun down. She takes his gun and she's got it on him. And instead of her killing her, she shoots in the air and says, well, slavery is bad. Go on and take your slave owning ass on out of here and straighten up. Well, come on. And she was going to kill the black dude who was after her. But the dude that has owned her, raped her, probably raped her mama and her sister, might have raped her brother too, she let him go. There is a conscious move on the part to divide us, to keep us to going after one another, but not go after the people that's responsible for it. This dude, the slave owner, the white boy, was responsible for Bigger Long coming after her. And she let him get away. You let the general get away? No, you're supposed to kill him. In fact, kill him, then sit him up, shoot him, and kill him again. You don't let him get away, because he's going to go back and organize and try to come after your butt again. No, kill him. But in the movie, not near white person lost their life. And then you see this other person that was created, Monet, who supposedly held a boarding house for slaves that were coming in out of the South and coming into Philadelphia. She'd take them in, feed them, give them shelter, give them clothes, and then find them a paying job. Again, historically inaccurate. But Bigger Long, because he didn't like her helping our brothers and sisters into slavery, he stomps her to death. Him and her, a black man and a black woman, are the only ones to lose their lives in this movie. Not real. And both of them are fictional characters. Both of them are, history does not speak to them, no way, shape, form, nor fashion. So now that's the knowledge. Let me start giving you the wisdom, because the same thing is happening today. And that was the controversy. And we don't need to put that up. We can pass that. That was the controversy which I wanted to speak about. When you go and talk about this last election, Dennis Ross, or not Dennis, that's his daddy, Darius Ross, put that up, Slick. Darius Ross ran as an independent. And as an independent, he got 23% of the vote. That's unheard of. He beat the Republican. He got 23% of the vote. And I still think there was some crazy stuff that went on because there was fraud. When you look at the polling station that I was at, which was at New Beginnings Church, there is a sign that says that you are not supposed to campaign past this point. Pull that up, Slick. That's the last one. If you look at that, and my producer's going to pull that up, you'll see where the Democrats but it is past the point. It says no campaigning beyond this point. And even if you look above that sign, you got the same sign that you had on the left door as you do on the right door. Your vote matters. Vote Democrat. Well, that's fraud. That's against the law. And the people out there that put that sign up, put it up, trying to support who we call Inaction Jackson. When you talk about District 14, it has no grocery stores, no libraries, no public high schools, and has the highest murder rate in the city. Under Inaction Jackson. We were telling people, do not mess with Inaction Jackson, cut the loss, vote for D. Ross. The people that was out there who was working for Lakeisha, who heard what we were saying, I didn't know that. Oh, you didn't know that? You out here supporting somebody that's actually helping to oppress our people? Let me talk to you even further. Lakeisha came to Economic Freedom Fighter Indiana meeting, EFFI meeting. At that meeting, we was talking about Proposal 258. At that meeting, she brought her mama and her daddy and told us on her word that she was going to put an amendment to Proposal 258 that would get Robert Hearst, who is a black man that owns A&I Market, she was going to get him some money because they had $900,000 that they was going to distribute to address the food desert out on the Far East Side. We said, well, right on, Lakeisha, and we packed the city county council meeting because we knew what Lakeisha said. She came to the meeting, she says, I'm with the people. You're gonna find out that I'm with the people. And I'm saying this in front of my mama and my daddy. They know that I am with the people. They have taught me to be with the people, and y'all are my people. I am with you. We went to the council meeting and we found Bigger Long. She got paid by the white folks, put in the amendment. The amendment gave money to white men, white folks. The money gave money to Hispanics. The money gave money to corporations. The proposal or the amendment gave no money to Robert Hearst and A&I. Now, people look at Bigger Long and say, well, he got paid to oppress us. He got paid to continue to have us enslaved. I'm saying the same thing happened with Lakeisha Jackson when she put in the amendment that gave everybody money but Robert Hearst. What are you saying, Paula? And Revo still hasn't answered whether she's OSU / OHU or Diala, and I don't know what OSU or / OHU means, and I don't know what Diala means. I don't know what that says. Help me to understand that. But in this article that I have, she says she gets it. She says about evil's role. Let's see. Let me go back here. There are in Kasi Lemon's Harriet out Friday, acclaimed stage veteran Erivo stars as Harriet Tubman. Erivo is British, Nigerian heritage, and past remarks she's made or aligned herself with on social media has got some people upset. This is her. I don't think it's unwarranted because people are allowed to feel how they feel. Erivo tells the Daily News of those concerns. Harriet is a historical character in the history, and people love her. She's a superhero, and I love her too. But I do not want people to know, but I do want people to know that I don't take her lightly, and I don't take this story lightly. I don't take her life lightly. I would like people to give this movie a chance first, see it, and judge from there. Now, and I can understand that because people seeing it gets her paid. But the point is she is sensitive to the accusations that are being laid toward her. There are plenty of people, including Chelsea Clinton, who do support, now why, so what? Chelsea Clinton, white girl, in Revo's casket. See, here you go again. You got the white girl supporting us dividing each other. Instead of us going after Chelsea, we going after Cynthia Erivo. We can't be letting these white folks divide so that they can continue to conquer us. We can't buy into that. After all, she's 3/4 of the way to becoming the notable rare EGOT, Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, and Tony winner. But for others, Erivo's nationality is no minor detail. Why can't we acknowledge the unique connection this story has to Black American people? Noting Tubman's specific struggle of oppression in this country. For others, Erivo's lack of ancestral connection to American slavery is only compounded by tweets and retweets many believe suggest disregard and disrespect toward Black Americans. In 2013, Erivo reportedly mocked what she dubbed a ghetto American accent in a tweet. And I think that's what people are speaking about. About Erivo's role, one Twitter user recently asked, why are people allowed to berate us, call us ghetto, and mock our circumstances only to be given the honor of telling the story of our ancestors? Well, that's a point. And see, she is buying into that white folks' strategy to divide us, just like Lakeisha Jackson is. It's the same thing. Both of them getting paid. Both of them trying to say, well, I got paid and you didn't, and neither one of them are right or on the right side of history. This is her again. No, this is another user. I'm all for supporting my people across all ethnicities, but being an Afro-American and the way you talk about us then, the nerve to play a person in our history as if you respect the people she was saving. That's a point. I love this woman, Harriet Tubman, and I love Black people, full stop. This is Erivo. Adding that disdain for African Americans would do me no service. It would be like hating myself, and that's a point. Now, Paula, what is it that you? What is OSU and OHU? There were several voters expressing concern. Okay, you on the election about certain poll workers inside assertively promoting straight. I agree, and I'm gonna get to that. But I wanted to be clear about Erivo. She understands her mistake. She is not about dividing us, from her words, and we need not be about dividing us either. But again, that's knowledge. Let me apply it so it becomes wisdom. When you look at Lakeisha, she took some money so that our people, the only grocery store on the Far East Side, owned by a Black man, got no money to develop even further because white folks gave her money to keep Black folks down. And she was born and raised here, I might add. She's not British. She's not Nigerian. She is a foundational Black, as you would say. LGBO caste system, OHU equal untouchables, Diala slave traders. Okay, I don't know whether she's addressed that or not, but let me keep applying this wisdom. Lakeisha, who is a so-called foundational Black, crossed out Robert Hearst all because white folks was giving her some money. That's the same thing that Bigger Long does. He got $200 to go after Harriet, and even though he don't exist, so Lakeisha exists. Lakeisha is real. Lakeisha is historically accurate. And so Here it is again, the movie trying to divide us, Lakeisha trying to divide us. And I'm saying that we don't need to go after Bigger Long nor Lakeisha. We need to go after the people that paid them. Bigger Long was paid by the slave owner. Lakeisha was paid by the Democratic Party. It was the Democratic Party that put together the poster out there at New Beginnings that was put on the door that was election fraud. We need to quit going after each other and go after the people that's got us dividing each other, because if we go after each other, then we killing each other, and the person that actually is the blame for the stress and strife is getting away. Just like in the movie. I'm applying the movie. I'm giving you the wisdom of the movie. I'm telling you that you can apply the movie right now here today with what went on in the election with D. Ross. But now this is the thing, this is the killer. Buckle up! Harriet Tubman's name. Let me see if I can find it. Her whole name, Harriet Tubman's whole name was, see, sometimes you just can't find things. She was, here it is. Harriet Tubman's real name, not real name, but see what happened is she didn't want to carry her slave name. And so when she became free, she changed her name to Harriet Tubman. But her name was Arminta, and they called her Minty. And her last name was Ross. Did you hear what I just said? The liberator of our people, slave name was Ross. Who stood up for our people here in Indianapolis? What's his last name? Ross. He is a descendant of Harriet Tubman. He ain't necessarily a DNA descendant, but the spirit of Harriet lays in this man right here. I just said something. It's by design that the Democrats kicked him out of the party, wouldn't support him for the race, kicked him out of the primary. It was by design. Lakeisha didn't do that. She's glad they did. But Lakeisha didn't do that. The Democrats did that. The Democrats was the slave owner that used the slave, Lakeisha, to keep our people down. Now, when I told people that was working the polls, they said, they became Walter. I didn't know that. I said, yeah, you out here working against the interests of our people, and the way that they got you to work against the interests of our people is because they got paid. Ain't you getting paid? Yeah. So you think it's right for you to get paid and work to keep our people oppressed? They said, nah, I didn't know that. Now, they kept on working to some degree, but it diminished considerably when they understood that they was working to keep us oppressed. They became Walter. When Walter understood that our quest for freedom is God-given, is a God desire, he went to the other side. These people that was working the polls, and I worked to them, and both of them, when they were informed. And then when D. Ross came out there, they really, their activity subsided considerably considerably because they understood. How do you support a woman that won't give a black man so that you have a grocery store in the district? Don't have a library, no public high school, highest murder rate in the city. And those murders are people of African descent, for a large part, killing one another because we are letting white folks drive us against one another. Miss Ross, Moses, Harriet Tubman, today, that is D. Ross. And we need to move to become independent of that Democratic Party. It's a slave master. It makes those people that run for office take an oath to say that you will not do anything determined by the Democratic Party that is ill to the Democratic Party. I released that information to LaRon Anderson. He made it public on his radio station. He didn't want to tell people that I was the one that gave it to him. But yeah, it was me. I gave it to him. Now, I ain't going to tell you who gave it to me. I'm going to protect that person. But LaRon says, well, Elder, I want to protect you. I don't need no protection. I'm unbossed, and unafraid of the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the butt naked truth. So when you talking about Bigger Long, who don't exist in Harriet's time, but does exist through Lakeisha Jackson, and them other folks that look like me, that's on the city county council, it's time for us to call them out, not harm them, but call them out because they are recruitable. And when you look at the movie, it was the so-called elite blacks that financed the Underground Railroad. See, when you look at it in Indianapolis, that's the African American Coalition in Indianapolis, AACI, Marshawn Wally, and I can't call the brother's name right now that used to work at Lily's, but that's them. They need to finance the revolution, but they need to be held accountable too, because they talking about coming up with independent money and putting it under the control of white folks. No, we can't do that. And Marshawn, we're giving you an invitation to come to Economic Freedom Fighter meeting. Economic Freedom Fighters of Indiana meeting. We meet every Monday, 6 o'clock, 6250 West 38th Street. And what we're going to do, and again, we are boycotting. I'm saying boycott this movie. Boycott it. Because we don't need to be giving Comcast any money because they are going after Byron Allen. They're not allowing Byron Allen to exercise his constitutional right. And that constitutional right is the 1866 Civil Rights Act, Section 1981, that says that anybody that is not white can go into contracts as white folks do. He tried to do it with Comcast. They denied him. He sued them. He won. They appealed to he lost at the district level. He appealed, won at the appellate level. Comcast appealed to the Supreme Court, and now the Supreme Court is going to hear the case November 13th. In actuality, I wrote a brief in support of Byron. The Supreme Court accepted it, but would not file it because I was not a lawyer. I went to the oldest civil rights organization here in this country, the local NAACP, they gave me a lawyer. He told me that he was authorized to practice before the United States Supreme Court, and when I tried to find his name on the rolls, I couldn't find it. Now, maybe I was not thorough in my search, but I couldn't find it. And he hasn't come back and said, well, or shown me documents to say that my lack of being able to find his name on the rolls was because of my inadequate search. Here it is again, and all of this coming around because they trying to protect Pete Buttigieg, who's the mayor of South Bend, who is complicit in murder, but got the nerve to be running as a front runner in this race out there in Iowa. I'm telling you, we got to start doing our own thing, and that is the position that Byron is taking. We've got to start controlling our own narrative. We can't have this kind of doo-doo that they putting out there about Harriet Tubman continue to exist. So boycott that movie because it's historically inaccurate and it does not support Byron Island, and we don't need to be giving Comcast our money. We need to be doing our own thing. So let me recap. Boycott Harriet. Do not become bigger long. And then I got to say one other thing, and Boyce Watkins made this before I close out. And this is the attempt to divide again. Walter, who joined Harriet at the end of the movie, when they getting away and having to go out of this country and go to Canada, they show him get off the boat and he got on a damn dress looking like a homosexual. So they done feminized the liberator. Harriet, they got her with this Monet who they created, looked like she's mad because Bigger is after her, and so she's finding refuge, and her husband done married another cat because, another woman, because she done, when it came time to leave, she didn't come and get him because she thought he was a free man, and if he got caught that they would take away his freedom, so she didn't want to jeopardize that. But she came back for him, and when she came back for him, he had married again. And so you never see Harriet with a woman, but you do see a woman when she's in the tub combing her hair as if there's might be, oh Lord. But all of that is to divide us. All of that is to feminize the black man. All of that is to say if he's not feminized, then he's treacherous and he's against black women. None of that is historically accurate, and none of that is true today. If a man of African descent is worth his salt, he loves himself a black woman. You've been listening to Elder Mmoja Ajabu, your host for After Naked Truth. Unbought, unbossed, and unafraid. The most truthful talk show host in the business. I don't have but one question for you. You ready?
This is not a test.
If you listen to this program, you're gonna get the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the butt-naked truth. This program is X-rated.
You ready? You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
You are now tuned into the world's most honest talk show host, the Elder Mmoja Ajabu.